Agentic browsers are one of the technology areas a lot of people are speaking about at the moment. Not always for positive, but there's a lot of them happening at the moment as people are trying to find new ways and places to shove AI into everything. I am Christian Schiller, and in this video, I'm going to take a look at maybe one of the ones you hadn't looked at or thought about yet, and that is Opera Neon, Opera's attempt at an AI browser. Let's jump in and see what it can do. So this is a pretty standard Opera interface. You have to be logged in, as you'll see here, to access these AI features because they are actually a paid feature. I have a few months free. You have a couple of different options into the same interface, and you get similar options just with a bit more detail in different places. Default mode, chat, do, make, and similar over here, but no Neon, and also the same down here. So let's start with Neon, just the default one first. I'm going to try a little experiment and see how far we can get. So let's see what this does for us. So this is mostly just a chat, hence it says chat. It's just giving us an idea, but doesn't really give us very much more beyond that. We could have done this in many other tools available these days, to be fair. I did specify dates, yeah. So let's see if we can get something more specific, although we are getting some resources here. Provide real-time flight options and current active exact dates. Let's ask for that first. Okay. This is still just chat. This is not really the agentic side yet. I'll actually switch to that in a moment. So it's switched to German for some strange reason. We can figure that out in a second. But this is just giving us price information. We have to obviously verify whether this is correct or not. Some of these things do not look completely accurate. These prices seem a bit too cheap. These flights probably about right. Okay, so hopefully we'll get the same result. But this is still just, and now we can actually see the links coming in there as well. Okay, cool. So this is all right, but it's not really, it's just kind of a fancy search engine so far. We actually want to do something more agentic, more active. Okay, so we'll instead switch to a do context. Okay, so here might be interesting to see. We have the context here. We've now switched to do. Can we just get it to actually do it? Okay, we started there, but it switches somewhere else. So I don't know if it's going to have the context from that conversation. We'll see. It looked like it would. Oh, no, it did. Okay, good. All right. So it's going to go to Skyscanner. These cookie notices could be a problem. And it starts to fill in these forms. It does it quite slowly. It depends a little bit on the website. Other times I've tried this. It doesn't always pick the same sites to use. It picks different sites and can take more or less time to navigate them, I guess, based on familiarity. I think Skyscanner is fairly well known, so maybe it has a better idea. This isn't looking very good in terms of price, is it? It seems to be struggling to figure out how to fill in the date. I mean, the Skyscanner date picker is a bit weird, to be honest with you. Let's see. Oh, no. It's good. Okay, the 3rd to the 12th looks good, actually. But anyway, I see green, which is always encouraging. So let's pick the 3rd. The argument is this any faster? I mean, obviously the positive is you could leave this running and do something else. But actually doing it myself would probably have been quicker. This part of it, anyway, of course. One of the other interesting things to do would be, I can see a problem there. It's accidentally changed the return to the same date. So we've got going and coming back on the same dates. So that's not going to work. Hang on. I think it's correcting itself. It must have heard me. Maybe. Now, so we can see some things here. There's some needs user interaction. I've attempted similar actions. You can read it. So it actually realized it had done something wrong. So this is called human in the loop. Generally, you're more of a supervisor, but here I was actually doing its work for it. I don't really know how far this is going to go now. I didn't really specify my preferences. It does also specify some items here, so do it within 30 minutes. Match my criteria. I didn't really specify any criteria. Oh, we're now going to a different search engine. I suppose it's going to use this as a comparison. We're now in Google. I've never really used Google very much before, but we can see. This date picker looks a little more conventional, so hopefully it will be easier. We'll see. Nothing's happening yet. Dates seem to be hard. I mean, we can have more than one thing running at once, so we'll leave that one running away in the background. I get the feeling this is going to ask for my help again, but let's try something maybe simpler. So we'll start with a chat again. Leave that running. Let's see how we're going. I think these date pickers are really problematic because they're fairly non-standard in many of these travel sites because they show you that sort of price and date overview, which to human eyes makes a lot of sense because we can sort of pick and choose some dates. But, there we go. We've finally got somewhere. Interesting. Maybe. That didn't seem to work. Okay, let's go back to the other chat. Okay, now it's doing it in German again. I suppose it's fair enough. This is a common problem with a lot of tools. Just assume a country means the language, which is not necessarily the same. I didn't specify what type of guitar, to be fair. Let's see. I would like an electric. I didn't specify that. I used to have a Pacifica. I would. Okay. What is not clear to me is whether I need to manually switch to do or if it's clever enough. I think for now I'm just going to manually do it. Okay. So we'll leave that running now. Let's see how the other task is doing. Still stuck on dates. Okay, we need human interaction again. These dates seem to be the biggest problem. There we go, Neon. All right, so I'm assuming now that will carry on. Still not really sure what the end outcome is going to be here. So it's got some different prices. I mean, Berlin is not particularly well served, so they're going to be pretty much the same flight, to be honest with you. Probably fairly similar prices. What's it going to do now is what I'm interested to know. Let's see how the guitar is getting on. So we actually can see there's now two different contexts running, I think, or have I just confused things massively by trying to do two things at once? Pre-owned. Wow. Most of what I've ever looked for in Reverb has been in the US. Okay, so, yeah, this is in America. That's not really the cheapest, is it? Let's see if that is okay. Okay, we seem to be, yeah. I mean, to be fair, the answer is generally Tom Andrews. Sometimes this is the interesting thing. You know, you kind of know what the answer is going to be, but we want to test these things. I mean, I would actually have probably picked something like Idilo, however you say it. Actually, that price is not that different in the end, but it's new because that does price aggregation. We didn't look at that. It just opened a bunch of sites instead. That would have probably been something I'd have picked. Why it didn't, who knows? I mean, that is... I'm not sure what happened there. We'll leave that chugging away. Let's come back to... Okay, I don't know what Ujo is. It's interesting, though, that also sometimes when you switch, the chat bar vanishes. I mean, it is still beta software. I mean, in my mind, it's basically just finding the same flights over and over again, really, in this case. And whilst this is kind of cool, and it's especially cool to look at, I don't know how much here has really been saved versus me just using Skyscanner, for example, and then just finding it. Because it's generally getting to exactly the same spot. So again, it's probably asking for dates. No, it seems to have the right dates. What's it want? I think it's just waiting for me to pick. I have never heard of this service. I don't know what airline this is. I've never heard of this airline. It also looks, I mean, it's in US dollars. I don't know if this is the best value or not, but whatever. I think we get the general idea. It's picked some options here. I don't know what it followed exactly, but it has, I think, basically found the same flights in each case, which is fairly reasonable, I think. Okay. Now, I wonder if we switch back to the chat. Yes. Let's see. What I'm interested, I think actually the better idea is there's also a sidebar on the left-hand side. I want to see the history. So let's maybe take this to do, okay? Okay, let's have a look at the guitar. So I think this was just doing a comparison, maybe? I'm not quite sure what this was doing. Task is done. Links for purchase. I didn't actually do it, but I don't think it really wants to do that. So music store, I mean, that's not in my cart. This one is, well, it's in the basket, but I think they don't really want to do it. But yeah, I don't know how this has really done too much more than, say, price comparison would do, but there we go. Let's have a look what's happening here. I think this will take a bit longer. I think we can leave this one running for a while. It's gonna take a bit of time. I think in this case, we can try some research instead. What research is a little unclearer, and whether context is transferred is still a bit unclear to me. I think that's possibly the issue is there are different tasks here with a delineation, chat, do, research. What the difference between these is and if it handles them automatically is not massively clear. Okay, so yeah, it doesn't actually know what I'm referring to. It was a previous conversation. Let's actually maybe see. Maybe this will work. Let's see if maybe it now has the context. I'm not sure. I don't think so. This is probably a little unfair. Anyway, well, I don't know. Who knows? These tools are presented to you to do a task, and they don't. I mean, in this particular case, it's not really giving much prompt, if you forgive the pun, into how to do that. So you're just going to stab away and see what happens, really, aren't you? I think it still doesn't really know what I'm talking about. So it might be a good idea to try a different approach over here instead. So now research isn't here, interestingly. We tried Neon, just basically, I think, just a default. Chat, do. We haven't tried make yet, but I wouldn't mind trying the research first. Okay. Again, I could do this with a normal search engine. The argument is why use this feature here. The Agentic Browser is, of course, something a little different, but the rest of it is something I could do elsewhere. I assume, the ability to switch backwards and forwards is one that's interesting. We haven't really opened any pages yet, so we possibly try that in a second. So we have a couple of researchers. Apparently there's several researchers thinking now. Let's see what's happening in the other windows. Yeah, that seems to have switched context now. I think we can forget about the guitar thread. Let's have a look. So this is still going over here. It still seems to be doing its little thing. I'm not really sure when it's going to be done. I think it's easy to sort of forget what it's doing because it can be quite slow. And a lot of these sites do change their interfaces on purpose. So it's going to throw a lot of these tools in some respects. Okay, this is still chugging along. These are reasonable places to look, actually, for information. I think it's going to take a little while. I think, yeah, that's just got stuck now. Okay, it's getting there. This may be an interesting time to try looking at a web page instead and trying one of the tasks. So I'm going to, of course, pick one of my own pages. I've got an idea here to find sort of one of the posts where I've recommended a bunch of things. So 7 text editors. Maybe we could try this first. And it basically summarizes what I said. What could be an interesting one here to try with the research? Okay. Let's see. Let's go back. Yeah, this has got stuck on the dates again. Dates seem to be a problem. We'll just stop here for now. Dates seem to be a constant problem. So travel is one of the ones that gets shown as an example a lot, but the websites don't seem to want to facilitate that. So let's give up on that travel one. I think we get an idea of where it is useful. It does give that ability to go and do multiple things at once, but then it tends to get stuck at a certain point and you have to pick it up. Human in the loop again, but that's okay. I don't know what's going on. Oh dear. Okay. Every time you open research, new ones won't erase progress. So I think I've just replaced the previous task. Yeah. Okay. Well, I probably got things completely broken now by doing that. I think then maybe what we'll do is try a similar task, but with a different aspect of Neon. Obviously, research, every time we do it, it just gets a bit lost. Okay, so this is now opened a completely different interface that we haven't seen before, but fine. I don't know what's going to happen here. Okay, this is still going. I think I might have broken things by constantly switching context. I like what's happening here. I mean, it could take a while. I said go and get reviews from the internet. There's a lot on the internet. We'll leave it running along right now. I must admit, I do feel like I've broken it, but well, see, here we go. All right. That didn't go very well. The thing is, having switched context here, there's actually no mention of the page. Let's try it this way instead. Yeah, so that was the issue there. What I'm not sure about is this line? Oh, I think so. I think we've now started a new context. It's interesting. This is a completely different interface. It's not using the side-by-here tool. Maybe that's something. It's still a beta. Okay, so that's going to carry on. Let's come back here. Yeah, nothing is really happening here. I think we should start this again, to be honest with you. All right. So this is doing some similar things, just in a different way. So yeah, request the user do, but I already have. It's having a look. It's pulled up the page in a slightly kind of low-res version of things. It's switching to my blog for some reason. I'm not sure why. I don't know what it's doing exactly. I think it's getting images. Yeah, okay. It's pulling images from each of... But this is from my blog, not from the article I mentioned. But hey, we'll let it do its thing. Let's come back over here. Aha! No external sources was cited. Interesting. Done in a PDF. Let's have a look. This is not really very helpful. I would have assumed it would have picked up the page I was on, but let's be more specific. I don't know if we can also... No, there's no option here either. Or if we... No. I think... Yeah, so there's some things pop up here. Explore more. Okay, so this is being a bit more specific now. Here we go. So, yeah, this is what I wanted. I don't really know what this is doing, though. Yeah, this is doing it based on my blog itself, not the actual page I specified. So, I don't know. It could be human error here, but I think this is supposed to be fairly... Oh, no, hang on. That's interesting. So, it's got this correct. I'm not sure if it's actually finished. Yeah, it's not wrong. I can't actually seem to get to the... Down here, though. It's not really what I'd call a presentation, but yeah, again, it's what you ask is often the crucial thing here. How I actually get it. Is this it? That's it. Oh, okay, right. See what happens. I mean, it's okay. It's fine. It's fine. Chime. It's been a while since I wrote this. I don't remember some of these. Honorable mentions. Oof, there's a lot of text, but I didn't specify. I mean, it's fine. Okay, cool. Let's see. This is still doing its thing. I like the fact it says, researcher is summarizing to supervisor. I'm a little uncertain about this. I've been leaving it running for quite some time. I might leave it running a bit longer, and I will come back if it... Oh, here we go. I spoke too soon. So it pulled in a bunch of things here. So it does like doing things in PDFs, which is fine, I suppose. Let's have a look. A deep dive, a review of reviews, very poetic. Nova. Yeah. It's not bad. Like many of these AI tools, it's a bit overly verbose, but it's fine. I think these are references to links. I would have to go right down the... Yeah, here we go. Yeah. It's fine, I think, actually. So there we go. That is Opera Neon. I think the general consensus on agentic AI browsers so far has been, and Opera Neon is an interesting option, an interesting alternative that comes from a different company that isn't so vested maybe in some of the other AI ecosystem that the other companies that make these agentic browsers are. But should you consider it? I think if you're already in the Opera ecosystem, then it's a nice option. But I think generally speaking, agentic browsers, AI-powered browsers are a little bit watch this space. I do like the possibilities they offer, but they do seem to come unstuck too easily in actually useful situations. And then every other situation is not necessarily that useful. But they're all worth considering. Opera Neon is worth considering, but they are very much at the moment, I think, just for testing. I have been Christian Schiller. Thank you very much for joining me. Feel free to browse any of my websites with any browser you like. Always very welcome. Talk to you next time.